As guns continue to be more and more boring in 2025, our quest to make guns fun again intensifies. And today we go to the world of subguns. Now in 2025, you might get a CMMG Banshee, thrilling stuff, or a CZ Scorpion, the pinnacle of excellence. Yes, these are very practical choices, but ultimately inferior, only to be chosen by a man unaware of one of the all-time greats. Now, I've lived in great shame for years for not owning an Uzi. It is the subgun that has evaded me. And no, an IMI Uzi Pro doesn't count. I mean the real deal. The Israel Military Industries Uzi. Owning this gun is a lifestyle, to which I say, Mazel tov! Welcome to the show, everyone. Today we are talking about the Uzi. And I'll tell you this, certain guns have a vibe. And amongst the vibiest, if you will, of all, is the Uzi. It is, like I said in the intro, it is a lifestyle. For the Top Gear fans out there, Jeremy Clarkson used to talk about owning a Jagggg and how that brought about a certain sort of lifestyle and a persona with it.
And it's okay because he's got a Jagggg.
Jagggg owners are a little bit sketchy. Like a waiter comes over to their table and somehow they wind up in a conversation about their Jagggg. Jagggg owners, not entirely trustworthy, a little more likely to go to jail for tax evasion or something to that effect, based solely on the fact that they own a Jagggg. And we Uzi owners are really no different. An Amazon delivery driver might show up and you're signing for your package. Next thing you know, you're talking to him about your Uzi carry case and showing him the different magazine pouches because you're an Uzi owner. You might be, I don't know, at the drive-thru at Chick-fil-A and they're like, how you doing? And I'm like, good. Can we take a name for your order? Yes, I'm an Uzi owner. And next thing you know, you're in a conversation about your Uzi and you forget about what sauce choices you're even gonna get. So a couple of people that I had relayed that I bought an Uzi, they sent me photos of their IMI Uzi Pro. And my judgment could not have been higher that they thought we were a part of the same club. You're not one of us. You're not in the Uzi club. You're in the IMI Uzi Pro club. Like, that's not the real club. In our club, this is what we call an Uzi proper okay? And if you got your little IWI toy, that's fine. But you ain't in the club, okay? And today we are going to look at a little bit of the history of the Uzi. We're going to go to the range. We're going to shoot it, run some drills, and we're going to look at some of the cool accessories that I recently got for this. Disclaimer on this gun is not on loan from anyone. It was not given to me. I bought this gun with my own money, and that's a conversation we're going to keep having amongst the little community that we have here on the 1911 Syndicate. Is more content guys should be buying things with their own money to actually show that they give a shit about firearms outside of what is given to them for free. But more importantly than all of that, I got a big thanks to the boys over at National Armory. And here's the funny thing. I know that they happen to have a, or at least at the time I'm filming this, they happen to have an Uzi over there right now for any of you be all a little squirrely, you know what I'm saying? National Armory, they're based in the Pittsburgh, PA area, but of course, it's 2025, which I mean, you can find them online as well. I would just, look up National Armory and you'll be able to figure that out. We post some clips on our Instagram of some of the cool stuff that they get in that winds up going on their GB, if you will. And because they deal in a lot of new stuff. So if you're looking for some of the cool new toys, all that kind of stuff, they've got all that, of course. But some of the cool older vintage things like Uzis or a recent West German Sig P220 or, old World War I 1911s, things like that. They carry all that kind of stuff. So you definitely do want to check that out. You guys can plug in the code 1911. That'll save you guys 10% off, which is actually pretty good once you start kind of thinking about that. I even recently used them to offload a few personal things, and I would also maybe follow them for that because the reality is I'm going to have to ditch some stuff here and there. So they'd be a good place to tune in for that. But let's talk about some history of the Uzi. All right, let's talk some history of the Uzi. So it was designed by Major Uziel. I don't know exactly how you pronounce his name. Of course, it's Israeli. Uzi with an EL at the end of it. Major Uzi Gall of the IDF. So the Uzi was first introduced to the IDF, the Israeli Defense Forces, specifically the Special Forces in 1954. A couple years after that, it was really military-wide at that point, at least within the roles that the Uzi was designed to serve in. Stayed in service until the 1980s. Of course, the full auto, right? The military variants fire from an open bolt. Mine is a semi-auto civilian variant, so of course it fires from a closed bolt. Simple blowback design, right? Nothing super complicated going on inside, but it does use this telescoping bolt design. Pretty interesting. I'm sure, a lot of it goes above my technical pay grade, but one of the things that it allows the Uzi to do is basically have a shortened profile. So it allows the mag to be housed inside of the grip, right? Instead of obviously having a mag extended out, just increasing snag hazards, things like that. But it also allows the barrel to sit further back in the receiver. So you see this and you're like, boy, it's a really, short barrel. You're probably going, oh, it's, 5-inch barrel. Believe it or not, this is a 10-inch barrel. So this barrel's coming back to roughly, here or so. So pretty cool little design there. It is very much a military weapon at its core, mostly stamped sheet metal. It is not a lightweight gun unloaded. It is 8.4 pounds. I never really weigh my ARs. I'm not one of those guys, but your Uzi's probably gonna weigh about what your AR does, like with optics and everything on it. Not a lightweight design whatsoever. Very simple though, very basic field strip. The barrel swap is incredibly simple. We'll bring that up a little bit later as we start getting into it. And one of the really cool things, so you will see here, or I'll point it at this camera, Crispy, and you can see what I'm pointing at here. So this is a bayonet lug, and it broke my heart to discover the bayonet lug on the Uzi, and then actually find a couple of the bayonets out there and know that I don't need to spend money on an Uzi bayonet. I do, but I've got too many other projects going right now, but I so freaking badly want this thing to be in here with a bayonet on the end of it. It's absolutely epic. There's a couple different stocks for the Uzi. So there's the, kind of the original was a fixed wooden stock, and it's cool. It's not really my vibe, but very classic. And then there is the the folding metal stock. This is, you know, for me at least personally, much what I prefer. We'll kind of show you how this works at the range. Very simple design, very clever. The mags on the Uzi, typically 25 rounds. There are some out there you'll be able to find that beef that up a little bit. The Uzi came in a couple different calibers, 9mm and 45. 45, of course, has lower capacity. Those guns are a little bit more uncommon. You won't find them as much, I would imagine. I mean, yeah, the gun's very heavy. But on a simple blowback gun, probably not the most enjoyable to shoot in 45. The 9mm is probably more enjoyable. 45 maybe a little bit more collectible at the end of the day. The Uzi, used by over 90 countries, including the U.S. Secret Service. They use it from the 60s up until the early 1990s. You can find a very famous photo we'll show you here of a Secret Service agent during the assassination attempt on President Reagan in 1981. You can find the very classic photo of the Secret Service agent that deploys his Uzi in his cool Secret Service suit in the 80s, and it's like an absolute gangster photo. So that's just a little bit of basic overview of what the Uzi is. Now, let's cut to the range, show you how it actually works. All right, everyone, let's get after it. Controversial topic on set today. When influencers clip their mic under their hats, do you want to punch them in the face? Crispy does. I think it's super cool that you have all this clothing on, but you choose to clip it under your hat because apparently your clothing can't take a magnet. But that's just hot topic in the comments today. We'll see what you guys think. So here's the deal about the Uzi, guys. Go through some manual of arms, some different shooting styles. There's different ways that you can shoot this. Everything on the Uzi is robust, okay? Like, even when you pick it up, you're like, oh, wow, like, is there a hidden dumbbell somewhere inside of this? You're like, nope, that's just what a real deal IMI Uzi weighs. So magazines, of course, go into the grip. You have to kind of rock them in ever so slightly. The mag release is on the other side here, okay? So basically, you would be for a righty running the gun, you would run dry, come down here, strip the mag, it's a little paddle, you strip the mag and go about your business. I don't know how to do anything as a righty. So mag goes in the gun. Your bolt is ungodly heavy. So with the chest rig on here, basically you've got to, if I remember right, yeah, you've got to put it, so the selector safe fire, you've got to put it in fire to charge the bolt. The bolt is very heavy, okay? Again, everything is robust. That's the basic sort of like, all right, how you load your gun. But there are also multiple safeties on the Uzi. There is a grip safety right here, a la the 1911, okay? So you have to be depressing that. And then you also have your manual safety here that is forward for fire, rear for safe. So basically you gotta do all that and then the gun will fire. How do you fire the gun? Depends on what kind of mood you're in. You can one-hand it. In movies, they make it look really easy. In practical application, you're holding about 10 pounds out in front of you. And, you know, I like to think you guys go to the gym too. It's like, cool, you're used to doing front raises. That's not a problem. But static holds out there are, okay, it's going south. It does get a little taxing after a while. So that's one way you can shoot it. The second, and of course, very traditional way would just be the, okay, that was nowhere near the target. I'll get there. Bear with me, there it is. So that's the traditional sort of Uzi method there. Now you will notice I got a click, right? Instead of a bang there, which tells us that we don't have last round hold open. So when you need to go to that reload, oh, I just noticed some interesting engravings on top. Alterations to this firearm are unsafe and illegal. They're talking about people trying to do a little conversion. Read manual before operating. I did not do any of that. That's the original mag, so let's not drop that one in the dirt. So then basically you reload, grab a mag, and mag goes in, charge that heavy bolt, and you're back in business. Now, you say, Jake, that's only 2 ways to shoot it. What about the third? That is correct. You could, if you so choose, to actually use the stock. Okay, so to deploy the stock, you basically just give it a little love tap on the bottom there, and then the stock pulls out. It is a very cool way to deploy a stock. Let's not mince that. So truthfully, look, the sights are not brilliant. We'll test them later compared to like the MP5K diopter sight system. The sights are not brilliant, but they are usable. Like, it's still a pretty damn usable subgun. And if you don't think that that looks cool, I don't know what to tell you there, brother. Like, you're something a little bit off. In terms of how does it actually like shoot recoil, it's a direct blowback gun. So it's, you know, it's not smooth like an MP5 or something like that, or even it's gonna shoot snappier than like a B&T APC-9 or, you know, something like that. But again, it's a design from, what was it, the 50s? And then we get a click instead of a bang. Another thing you'll notice, I'm not running a sling because the 2 sling attach points are on this side of the gun. So basically you direct attach here, and then you got your little swivel up here. Super, super cool style. One thing you might notice is that, Jake, that gun doesn't look very lefty friendly. That's correct. And I like to think if we go back in the day, right, into Israel, there was probably a lefty in the design meeting when Uzi Gal was designing, you know, showing the design, and a lefty raised his hand and said, what about lefties, sir? And he took a drag from that cigarette, and he looked at the lefty and he said, fuck you. And that's how you got this design. They basically just said, fuck you, if you're a lefty, we're making a right-handed gun. Figure it out there, fella. All right, moving on. Okay, so let's talk about some sort of fundamentals of the Uzi from maybe a collector perspective, just some of the different things that you should know. So there's 2 variants of the IMI Uzi that were imported into the US. They were, and that's the Model A and Model B, right? Action Arms was the importer of the Uzis. And what's cool is Action Arms was based out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. So the side of your IMI Uzi is marked with Phila, like Philly. That's what they should have put. They should have put Philly. They probably couldn't because technically the spelling would have been wrong. So it just says Phila. But it's just like, why is it so cool to have this foreign subgun that came to you from Philly, from the streets of Philly? There's just something so freaking cool about that. But about 80,000 of these were imported. Half of them were the Model A, half of them were the Model B. It'll say that on your gun, on this side right here, it'll say Model A, right? So I've got a Model A very early based on the serial number of mine. Mine probably is from like 1980, 1981. The Model A's were imported from 80 to 83. Which is what mine is. Model B imported from 83 to 89. The Model B, yeah, I really don't think it matters. There was a couple of changes made. Basically, the sights are a little bit different. I think it's mostly in regarding to they're just a little bit easier to zero. Mine are a little bit more difficult to zero. You guys really care about like having the most precise zero in your Uzi? I don't really care. Mine's accurate enough to hit an A zone. That's about all I needed to do. They also, on the B models, came with a firing pin safety. Again, I'm like, I don't really care about any of that. And just given that there was a smaller import window of the Model A, I don't know, to me, even though the Model B might objectively be a better gun, there's something probably kind of cool about the Model A and just being as early as possible. Like I said, best guess based on my serial number, probably 1980, 1981, pretty early imports. Again, for those of you going, dang it, I need an Uzi. Cool. I'm going to reiterate this. Don't get an IWI Uzi Pro and think you're in the Uzi club. You're not. You ain't in the club, okay? Because you know, I'm going to show you some shit. I'm going to show you some kit and some stuff this gun came with. Guys, didn't come with an IWI Uzi. That gun is just such a bastard. God, it's so hideous. Like they discontinued it, and I'm like, I really like IWI, and I like a lot of what they make, but it's like that gun sucks. I mean, maybe it didn't suck, but it visually, tough. So. This is a pre-ban gun. What does pre-ban mean? Sometimes we just assume that everyone knows what that is. So Uzis were on a list of 43 guns that were banned for importation into the U.S. in 1989. Why were they banned? I don't know, because they look scary, because they had some ties to military weaponry, but it's like an Uzi. So if you hear, pre-ban, that's what we're talking about, right? It was a gun that was imported into the U.S. before the 1989 ban that affected these 43 guns. If you're someone that likes buying guns based on some strategic value, like you're a collector or you're kind of using guns as almost like a store of value, almost a place to park cash, if you will, Uzi's probably a pretty good place to do it, just because, look, they're not importing. One, they don't make anymore and they don't import anymore. So what's out there is out there. Is that to say that they're ever going to be, massively pricey or anything? Probably not. But they're probably only ever going to trend up just because there's not any more of them. And the more that people appreciate them over time, they probably will go up in value a little bit. Typically, they come as a 16-inch rifle. Now, I'm going to show you guys some cool kit and stuff. So like I said, I just bought this. This was just me buying a gun. So this was the case that it came in. And it's epically cool. It doesn't say IMI on it. It just says Uzi. I love that everything's just branded Uzi. It's not even IMI. But I was really stoked that this thing came with the original case, manuals, everything. You'll even see on the thing here, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I mean, it's just gangster, it's just so cool. And you can even see my serial number, it's 10,000, which is, if I'm taking an educated guess, it was probably an early import. So the way that these come is kind of interesting. So mine even came with like the original canvas sling. I mean, how cool is this? It came with the like all of the original manuals and everything. I mean, like this stuff is like so. I mean, look. I mean, the old letter like envelope from Action Arms, certificate of authenticity. It's talking about the barrel. I'll show you guys how that works, and then the original manual. This is really cool. Like I actually really lucked out and got like a good little like collector grade set here. But the way that these come typically is as a rifle. Now, you can be a little bit fooled if you see the photo of them, because often how you will see them sold is with this on the end of it. And so you see it and it looks just like this, right? And you're like, oh, cool, this is being sold as a rifle, but it has a short barrel in it. Like, is someone breaking some rules here? No, because at the end of the day, this is not a barrel. This is like, I mean, you'll notice it's solid. Like, this is just a blank firing device, so you call it whatever, it's prop. It doesn't do anything. How it is sold is with this barrel in it, okay? So you see them sold as a rifle. Now, you won't typically see many people running it with this barrel. You'll see them running it typically more so with a shorter barrel. And if someone gets this Uzi and leaves it as a rifle and doesn't SBR it, like, what are you actually doing with yourself? But part of the reason it's cool is because it's a really, really easy barrel swap. And we're going to blur this, okay, so that I don't get in YouTube jail here, but I'm going to perform an Uzi barrel swap for you guys, and you can see just how simple it is. And I'll tell you how it works before I demonstrate it. So all it is this tab right here. It's this little tab right here, and then you just back out the collar, and you just pull out the barrel, okay? Let's do it on the clock. Crispy will get a clock fired up, and he's going to blur the screen starting now. Stop the clock. There's your Uzi barrel swap. Was that 15 seconds, everyone? 15 seconds to do a barrel swap? So this is technically how your Uzi comes, is as a rifle. Now, this looks incredibly stupid, is what you're thinking. And yes, it is. That's why you get a 10-inch barrel. There's a company called Pike Arms that makes these. They're not that pricey. I think it's a US-made thing, but you get one of these, you SBR your gun, and then you got an SBR Uzi. But when you see it sold as a rifle, that's what it is. It's basically the blank firing device that they have in to make it look cool for photos, but that's technically, like, legally how it comes. Amongst some of the other things that I got, I needed some extra mags. The gun only came with one mag, so check out this surplus kit of mags here. So this was just like too cool, right? So basically, like I said, standard capacity is 25 rounds. One of my surplus mags got something floating in there. But like, these are the actual like OG mag pouches that are epically cool, that carry 5 extra mags. And then I got this one, and this carries a couple of the slightly longer mags. And it's just cool, you know? It's like, again, I'm not like a super vintage gun guy, but like my interests are trending that way. And I'll show you guys the coolest accessory. I did not know this was part of the kit that I was buying. Check out the Uzi carry case. Now, if that ain't the coolest, if that doesn't move you, and if your heart rate didn't elevate a little bit, like you're dead. You're dead inside, okay? This Uzi carry case is so fantastic. Like, you know, and that's why I say it's part of a lifestyle. And, you know, Jag owners and Uzi owners were kind of in common. Yeah, because I want to carry this around, like just carry it around town and get into conversations with people about Uzi culture and things like that. Maybe I'll get a Jag just to put the Uzi in. I don't know. Let's just go back to the range. Have you ever wondered if the Uzi or the MP5K is a better platform? Well, you're gonna find out in just one second, but before we do that, we've got a cool giveaway going. Runs now through July 30th, so I believe that we're starting to creep in on that date, but it's brought to you by our ammo partners over at Ammo or Ammunition to Go. You guys can go find that. And basically what we're doing is they're giving away a seat to our upcoming Patreon private shooting class. That will be with HK, more than likely a 2-day hammer-fired pistol class. So very specific. If you don't have a gun, don't worry, we'll get your loaners, all that kind of stuff. But it'll be in Columbus, Georgia, targeting September. Ammo to Go is sponsoring one lottery seat because the class sells out very, very quick. And what you will get is basically class, hotel, ammo, all provided by Ammo to Go. How you enter is you go down to the video description. There's a form down there. Just fill out your info in the form. You're in the running, okay? But if you want to sweeten the pot, right, and sort of sweeten your odds of winning, now, between now and July 30th, any ammo you buy at Ammo to Go, if you plug in the code 1911, for every $100 you spend, you get one additional entry, right? So you buy $800 worth of ammo, cool. Your name just got added to the pot 8 more times. One of you lucky bastards is gonna win, and you're gonna come have, I'm not kidding, the time of your life in Georgia with us, going to the gray room. I mean, yeah, you get private gray room tours. You're gonna get to play with all kinds of stuff that you probably never thought you would really see in person. So anyway, we appreciate Ammo to Go. They're bringing you that class giveaway lottery seat. So make sure you check them out for ammo, all that good stuff. That's where I buy all of mine. All right, so here's what we're gonna do, guys. I'll show you what we're working with. We might have to flash this photo on screen, Crispy, when I show this. Do you know the reference, Crispy?
I don't think so.
This is the thumbnail for Hunt for Gucci Guns Pittsburgh.
That's what I was gonna say, but I thought that it was a pop culture reference, so I was wrong.
No, that would be a badass movie, though. Someone's dual wielding these motherfuckers. That'd be so badass. And Hunt for Gucci Guns Pittsburgh, like, these are 2 guns I was eyeing because I didn't have either of these configurations yet. And lo and behold, with a little bit of hard work in life, you know, you can get some cool guns. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put these 2 bad boys head to head because, you know, they're similar era, all that kind of stuff. But the sights on the Uzi do leave a little bit to be desired. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna run a few different things here. We're gonna start with bill drills for time, and we're gonna see, you know, coming from a low ready, acquiring sights, torching off a bill drill, accuracy, speed, how do we do? All right, let's get our stock out. Can I just do something for you? It should. All right, so we're gonna go from a low ready, or whatever you wanna call this, little slick because the stock's kind of bouncing around my little chest strap there. Acquire target, torch off bill drill. These are not super precise sights, so we're gonna see how it goes. Uzi for time. All right, clean, all A zone, 1 on the line, but it's definitely breaking the line. 302. Let's run it one more time just for shits and gigs, you know? God damn it, Major Uzi, go! All right, 259 on that. Still all clean, hitting top portion of A zone. No issues with that at all. All right, let's see MP5K. All right, everyone, MP5K. Oh. All right, so MP5K, so here is the benefit, of course, of the sights is, right, I got different size holes, right? So big hole, speed. Little hole, tight precision, okay? That's the benefit of the Uzi here. So I'm gonna go second to largest hole. Okay, had a hard time finding my sights. 268. I forgot the Uzi is actually, you have to get less low on the gun compared to the MP5K. Like you've got to really scrunch down on this. The Uzi is actually a little more forgiving in terms of like getting down on the gun. So 259 was my best Uzi time. Let's run it one more time. Now that I got a better, I'm reminding myself here, but that was clean. Still really nice group actually. All right, here we go, come on. Okay, 2, 1, 0, and you guys will see, well, we got a target cam down there, you guys can see. Really nice groupings, really nothing to complain about there. So thus far, MP5K, Uzi, 0. All right, everyone, up next, we are gonna run the Humbler drill from our friend, celebrity American male model, James Williamson, also an HK employee, and he showed us the Humbler drill in our MP5 class that is basically like what one of you Patreon boys is gonna come to from the Ammo to Go guys. So anyway, the Humbler drill is on the time, on the clock, 10 rounds, which at that point you're empty, A-zone center mass, reload, 2 rounds to the head, all that clean within 10 seconds. It is pass or fail. So let's get our stock out. And to keep things even, we're gonna reload from pockets on the MP5 and the Uzi. And I'm gonna start off of safe because there's really no alternative here. I'm not super optimistic about making the time on this with the manual of arms and the fuck you to lefties here. All right, here we go. Oh boy, that took some skin. Oh, yeah, that hurt. Slamming that mag in, hand went too high and pinched the shit out of it. All right, time, 11:47. Okay, so I did not make the time, so I failed based on that. Otherwise, damn it, 1 round out. I'm actually, if I'm being perfectly honest with you guys, not that dissatisfied with that. I mean, my A-zone thoracic is looking super clean right now. I got 1 round out on the head, so we'll try it on the Uzi, or on the MP5. Oh my God, that hurt. No, but it's turning a different color. No blood though, so I'll take that, but oh. This I should be able to pull off. I'm gonna go 1 smaller on the hole because precision does start to matter a little bit now. Son of a bitch, 10.69. So same story, A-zone, center mass is clean and 1 round out on the head. So I got to admit, I'm actually shocked that that was as competitive as it was. I thought the Uzi sights were just gonna get smoked in this, but I mean, that's damn near an identical performance with less than 1 second difference. And I'm very experienced with these, not very experienced with the Uzi. Not bad, Uzi. All right, everyone, for the 3rd and final test, we're gonna run some distance. You will see on the back of the Uzi here, the sights are rated for 2 distances, 100 meters or 200 meters. Now keep in mind, this is also a firearm that has a bayonet lug in case the 200 meter plan failed and we need to rush and charge the enemy. We can just knife them. So we're gonna run both guns for distance and just see at what point we start to not hit steel. Okay, easy day. Should be no problem for the MP5K. All right, grab a bag of foreign sub guns and move on back. All right, now we're at about, right at about 50. Wow, I gotta admit. You know, open sights, I mean, you're literally just putting a post in the middle of a circle and just assuming that they knew what they were doing when they designed it. It's kind of amazing that these old irons be as good as they are. Oh, wow. Come on now. Wow, is the Uzi literally winning this? go back just a little further. Based on the class we did, the MP5 class with James, this exact MP5, 50 was typically pretty comfortable. I was shooting like shit right there. Like 75 and distances like that, like it starts to get tough. All right, so we're about 75. This is right around that 75 mark. Wow. So I believe that was 5 rounds. We're gonna go to 10 and just check hits. Someone I'm sure corrected me, that might've been 6, I think it was 5. Right now we'll say I'm 3 out of 5. Ah. I knew I threw that last one. So what was that, 4 out of 10?
I thought it was 5 out of 10.
Was it 5 out of 10? I think you're right. I think it was 5 out of 10. All right, so we're saying a 50% hit rate. 2 out of 5, still competitive. 3 out of 6, 3 out of 7. Fuck. Wow, okay, so apparently the Uzi is like the subgun champion of the world. Why are we even bothering with these things when you get an IMI Uzi? I'm so conflicted about that. I'm happy for the Uzi. I'm very sad for myself and old faithful here. Shit. Back to the studio. So not only is the Uzi a real world, you know, very famous gun, but it's also a very pop culture famous gun. And for those of you maybe looking to get into the spirit of the Uzi, if you need further convincing on why you need one, I'll hit you with my top 4. I'm gonna hit you with top 4 Uzi pop culture references. Number 1, in no particular order by the way, would be Terminator. Not Terminator 2, 3, none of that. Terminator. Arnold, when he's in the gun shop, a very, very great scene. Of course, Uzi 9mm. You know, that's my best Arnold impersonation, everyone. I mean, we discovered in some recent videos, I'm not very good at doing accents, but he gets one at the gun store, he uses it in the nightclub. Great scenes. Another Arnold with the Uzi would be Commando. Of course, he gets the gun when they basically raid. Boy, Arnold knocks over a lot of like gun stores and arsenals now I'm thinking about it, because that's what happens in Commando too. He basically steals a bunch of guns from that arsenal, uses it to defend them when they're at the plane, and he's just firing it one-handed, you know, stock folded and everything. And then he uses it, of course, in the final battle, also stock folded, because why would you ever deploy the stock when you can just rock it one hand, or like this, as we demonstrated earlier. Number 3, Patriot games. Now we're going to the Jack Ryan series there. Great series. Patriot games, I think, often one of the ones that gets overlooked. Of course, you got Sean Bean, Harrison Ford, and the Uzi's pretty prominent throughout, right? Because you're really dealing with, I believe it's the IRA and the whole kind of Ireland dynamic there. If I'm going from memory, it's been a while since I've seen Patriot games. I actually need to tune that in, but really good movie for the Uzi. And then number 4, in a totally opposite direction, you don't mess with the Zohan. Adam Sandler, of course, comes to the US from Israel. He's some sort of special forces operative, and there's some actually great Uzi moments throughout. You don't mess with the Zohan, who knows, who gives a shit. But now the real pursuit for me continues, because yes, this is the full-size Uzi, which means I have checked 1/3 of the trilogy. The pursuit now begins for a mini, which to me is the ultimate Uzi. Like the mini Uzi is like the Uzi for me personally. So now I gotta get a mini Uzi and I get a micro. And that's gonna be an expensive proposition, because the reality is this is the most attainable of the Uzis. You will find them most readily. The micros you can find on a pretty relatively easy, but they're pretty pricey. The minis are simply very expensive, and you don't even find them that often. So that's the world I get to now enter over the coming, I don't know, year. We'll see when Papa's got a couple bucks to spend here. But hey, look, for those of you who are like, this is pretty cool, I think I might be down to enter the Uzi club, we welcome you, okay? We want you in the club, if you're cool, like, you know, like if you're kind of in that jag sort of territory, like you're down to do sketchy shit, come on over to the Uzi club. IMI Uzi Club. We'll welcome you. And we'll welcome you back next week. We'll see you then.